Hey there, it's Brittany Chavers, and I am back with the November Magical Mystery Bead Box from Jesse James Beads. And today we're going to be making 3 bracelets using this kit, and it was called Sugar and Spice. It was super duper duper cute. So I'm going to be using the 2 main strands that were in the box this month. They're both stunning, and probably some metal from Mix and Measure. And then I'm also going to be using the saffron mix. In each of our bracelets today, we're going to be using different techniques. One will be strung with some awesome turquoise, soft flex beading wire. One, we're going to use some Beadalon Memory Wire, and another we're going to use some Beadalon German Style Wire to wire wrap. So let's get started. The first one we're going to do is going to use this green bead right in the middle of this strand right here. And I think that's all we're going to use from this strand, besides the 2 pieces of spacers, or besides the 2 spacers on either side. So these 5 beads we're using from the sugar cookies strand, and then I'm going to set everything else aside. This is going to be the wire wrapped bracelet. I'm going to use some 20 gauge artistic wire. You can use German style wire or whatever wire you want to use. However, I wanted a larger gauge because I want to be able to really see that the wire on, it's going to become like a main component in the design. So I'm going to cut off a piece. And as you've probably guessed, this is going to be a focal. I'll take my loop, my round nose plier, and I'm going to make a wire wrapped loop. So I started my loop just like that, and I'm going to come around and I'm going to do 2 right around like that, and then 2 right over those, so it becomes a little bigger, just like that. And then I am going to trim. Slide on my silver bead, my gold, then my glass, and then reverse what I just did. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing on the other side, and this will make a link. I'm going to hold that loop with my pliers. I'm going to come around twice and then go right over those again. And then we are going to snip. And we have ourselves a link. Now, if you'd like, you can change the orientation of these links. I kind of want them both to be facing like so flat, so we can have our heart facing up on our wrist, and then we're going to use jump rings to connect everything later. So there's our first link, and I'm going to cut apart my Christmas cookies strand, and I'm really going for these glass Christmas tree ball looking beads, so I'm really loving those. And you're probably thinking they clash a little bit. It's okay, they're green, there's red, and there are polka dots to connect them. They don't have to be matchy. So I'm going to grab these 3, and I do want some of the lighter green sparkly beads to bring that lighter green in from the square. And I am going to grab a couple of the red sparkly beads, and we'll kind of see about the rest in just a minute. Okay, from my mix and measure, I like the gold bead caps on here, so we might only use 2 of these because there are 4 of this style of bead cap here. Put one aside for another project. And yes, we're doing mixed metals. I'm going to put these to the side just in case. And I am going to again create links using my 20 gauge wire. So wrap twice, and then we're coming back up over that wrap. Like that. Then I'm going to put on my bead cap. My hollow bead. I just love these. I love these Christmas tree beads so much. And then I'm going to do another link here. Two wraps. And then again over those two wraps. Okay, and then we'll just straighten that out a little bit. There we go. I love that. I love these beads. So I'm gonna go ahead and make some more links and I'll be back. Okay, I have my links, and I was going for wonky, like Who from Whoville looking links, and definitely got that vibe with these like potato chip spacers going in and out of the Shambhala beads. I got out a little lobster clasp, and I opened up the cardamom bead mix from the box and grabbed a little tiny spacer, and I have a ball head pin. I'm going to put that on there. And then I grabbed this little pillow bead from the Mix and Measure kit, and I'm just going to do a dangle. Just going to wire wrap that. And wrap that around as many times as you like. Okay, and then I have some smaller jump rings. I'm going to connect all of my beads. Remember, we always want to twist open the jump ring instead of pulling them open. I'm going to start with my red. Don't these look like Christmas tree ornaments? That's what I'm thinking this is, an ornament bracelet. And then I'll keep going in the pattern I decided on. Whatever pattern you want is going to look great because all these beads coordinate with each other. And yes, I'm putting green next to green because I didn't want the lime next to the lime. So there is a method to the madness. And this is long enough for me, so I'm going to omit the extra bead. I have a jump ring here, and I am going to attach our clasp to the red bead. Then I'm going to take a larger jump ring, attach it to our Christmas tree bead. That's what I'm calling this one. And that'll be our closure, and then I'm going to hang our charm from that jump ring as well. or you can hang it from, actually, you know what, I'm going to hang it from my Christmas tree bead. You can easily turn this into a necklace just by attaching some chain. You can make earrings this way. This technique is timeless. And look at that, we have a fun, bright, it looks like a Christmas garland to me. So there's bracelet number 1. Bracelet number 2, we are going to string, and I am going to use, like I said, the Turquoise Soft Flex wire. And I have a button from Jesse James Beads. It's from the Sew Through Snowflakes. Just grabbed one button. Then I have a silver Soft Flex crimp tube. We'll need another one later. And I am going to put on my crimp tube, then one side of my button, and then come back down through the other side of my button, just like that, and then back through my crimp. So it looks like that, and I am just going to crimp that. Not too close to the button, but not so that the button's flopping around too much. So I have the crimp in my largest valley of my crimping pliers, and I'm just going to squish and turn 90 degrees and squish again and squish one more time. And then I am going to cut a length of this off of my spool. And yes, we'll touch this up later. So for this bracelet, I'm going to be using the red heart with the pink center. I'm going to be using our little aqua pearls. We have some silver and some white beads. And then we have these red melons, and then some red from the other bracelet. So if we need to, we can try and work in some gold, but I think this one's just gonna be silver. I am going to load on some beads. I think I'm gonna start with this little silver, or this little white bead. I'm gonna grab some of the metal from the Himalayan salt mix. We have some little rondelle spacers, crystal rondelle spacers. We have some cute little bead caps, and then some metal beads. So I'm actually going to come back in with this metal bead first, then our white bead, and I'm going to go from there. So we have our bracelet strung, and it's so fun. It looks like a mix of candy canes and ski slopes to me. I love it. So we're going to create the closure, and there are a couple things you can do. You can just take another crimp bead, crimp tube, slip it on, and then come back through and make a loop for your, that's large enough for your snowflake to go through. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. So you just want to make sure that our loop is large enough for our closure, and it's not. And I might still go with this, or so it would look like that, and you would just crimp your loop closed, or you can put on your crimp and then grab some tiny beads from one of the mixes, and I have the Himalayan salt mix. And you can bead those on and then come back down through your crimp, which there's a large hole bead next to the crimp, so the crimp kept going through the large hole bead. And we can make a loop out of beads, so a beaded loop. You just have to think about what you'd like your bracelet to look like. And you have to have enough beads to go back to make a large enough loop. So let's see if we have enough. We do. That would come right through there, and I could possibly remove one of these pink beads. I like how that looks. I think it gives it an extra bit of sparkle. So I'm going to take one of the beads off, and then we'll crimp that closed. Sure, our bracelet is curled, so it will go well around our wrist instead of crimping a straight line. We have to be careful with that bead it's next to. And we'll go ahead, and you can do a flat crimp or a folded crimp. I'm going to do a folded crimp here. And then we'll turn 90 degrees and fold again. Snip our wire right below that crimp bead. We're going to snip our wire over here. Make sure you snip the tail, not the actual bracelet wire. And here we go. We have an adorable little bracelet with a fun sparkly closure. Isn't that cute? Oh, I love the other bracelet, but this one's now my favorite. So, but the good thing is you have two wrists, so you can wear them both at the same time. Next, we're going to do a little easy bangle using the Beadalon Memory Wire. Make sure you use your memory wire cutters. If you don't, you will ruin your nice pliers. You will get divots and dents if they don't outright break. So we'll go ahead and cut. I'm just going to cut a little bit more than one full loop, okay? So I'm going to make sure that they overlap. There we go. Now I'm going to do a loop. You can use your regular pliers for this, just to finish off one end so our beads aren't sliding around. If you don't want to make your loop permanent right away, you can use an earring back to hold that in place, a piece of tape. You can use a clamp, whatever works for you. I'm going to bead or pull backwards on this one, but it doesn't really matter what direction you turn your loop. Okay, so we have our loop here. Get down a little bit closer. There we go. And if you'd like, you could do it 2 turns, so there's no chance of that coming open. I'm just going to make a thin bangle using the red beads. If you want a pattern, you can grab a pattern, but I think these are all tiny that since this is just going to be like a stacking bracelet, you can do them in whatever order you like. I always like to start at the end with a tiny bead, so I'm just going to go for a little rondelle. Slide that on, and I'm going to save one for the other end. But other than that, There's not going to be really any rhyme or reason to this. I'm just going to kind of go with the flow. Maybe put a metal bead over here and there. And I have the ginger mix too, and I'm going to grab the gold metal out of the ginger mix. All right, I have a full bracelet. It's super cute, and I am going to trim my end piece here. Now, you can completely stop after you curl this other end because it's gonna open and go onto your wrist and then close. But I'm going to add a clasp. I really like how fun it looks, and it adds some security to your bracelet. So I'm just going to go ahead and twist. And we want to make sure that this isn't too tight because the beads do need to move just a little bit. If it's too tight, some of the beads can break or it just won't look great. It'll kind of stay like this. It'll stay open a little bit too much if there are too many beads and not enough room for them to move around. All right, now the options from here that after the base bracelet are endless. You can add charms, you could add charms here, but I'm just going to add a toggle. You could put the toggle right on to the memory wire. However, it was a little tough, so I'm just going to use a jump ring to connect. Put one on one side. And here is the other side. So if you have a ton of little beads that you want to use up and you want an impact, why don't you make a bunch of these bangles, and then you can have a stack going up your arm using up some smaller beads or some beads that you might not have known what to do with. I think it's great because now it coordinates with my other two bracelets. Can wear it with either one. So we have our wire wrapped bracelet and we have our snow bunny bracelet. That's what I'm calling it. So I'm super excited. I got to show you 3 different types of bracelets today. I would love to hear which one's your favorite. Thank you to Jessie James Beads for having me back, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.